Welcome, Huskies. This workshop is part one, How to Build a Network, hosted by the Career and Internship Center. Our goals today are to talk about what is networking, creating a networking mission, and identifying our connections. So what is networking? The definition of networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social connections. The reason why we bring the word social contacts is because we want to do a reframing of the word networking for the rest of this workshop. We don't want to use the word networking as much as possible. We want to talk about building connections because when you use the word building connections, you realize that you are building connections all the time. So let's start with some myth busting on our connection building to kind of get us into the mindset as to what is the purpose of networking and building connections. So myth buster number one, some people think that they have to be an extrovert. They have to be great at social skills. They have to be a charmer to network, when the opposite is actually true. You do not need to have all of these skills because it's not about being the life of the party, having the most energy, the most active in the conversation. It's about having intentional conversations, which introverts tend to thrive in those one-on-one interactions. So again, refocusing that networking and connecting and building connections is not about me being the loudest person in the room and holding the most engaging conversation. It's about actively listening and having those one-on-one interactions with others. Mythbuster number two. Networking is only needed when you need something. This is something that happens a lot in our office. We have students coming in saying they want referrals, they want something now, 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 now. And although that's kind of productive in some ways, it can also be counterproductive. And when you need something, asking someone you just met is not always beneficial for you and your professionalism. So while having a network can be successful, waiting until you need something is not going to be fruitful. It's key to network early as possible, as much as possible. Try to network early so you can be present and give in to as much of those connections with one another, building that relationship with each other, knowing your expectations, and letting them get to know you as well. So if and when you need something, you already have a strong foundation built. The last myth buster is networking has to be formal. A lot of students, again, and people think that networking is only happening when you're at career fairs, wherever employers are, information sessions. That's the only place I can go network. Where once again, you may think networking only happens there, but if we're reframing to build connections, it allows you to think that networking and building connections happen everywhere. It can be in informal settings, such as random conversations in line for coffee, a casual lunch, online interactions that you guys just are Instagramming. All of that stuff kind of naturally happens informally, and all of those are being building connections that could potentially be fruitful. So let's dive in a little bit more into connection building. Why do we build connections? Why do we do it? Well, for sure, to build connections is to connect with and see and feel seen by people who share common interests, passion, strengths, and purpose. We always want to be accepted. We want to build community. It's part of our nature to want to have areas of that community. That's why we make friends. That's why we go out and communicate and try to bond with one another, not just for personal interests, but also for professional. Another reason that we constantly are building connections is we want to create trusting, which is the key word, trusting supports for our present and future selves. In order to build that trust, you have to build the connection. And I keep using the word build because it is constantly evolving and going on top of one another as you continue to connect with someone. So we're building those trusting supports for now as well as people for the future, where you can be someone's connection and they can also support you as well. The last reason we try to build connections is to find people who can help us grow, help us learn, help us really try to expand our wings to be the best version of ourselves because they see what we're missing. They're in the field, or they are the opposite of us and they're bringing a new perspective into our lives. Great connections are rooted in mutuality. They do not happen instantly, and it's something that all of a sudden we can start building this relationship and we're doing amazing. It takes time and purpose to put into it, and that's why we talk about intentionally building those opportunities with people that you want to build connections with. I also want to preface, what are the results of connecting? What are the short-term and the long-term goals? So sometimes we need this to also bring lens into why we do this in the first place. So in the short term, just honestly not feeling alone at school, work, or even at conferences. If you have that lonely feeling, we tend to try to find people that are common ground, new students, other peers, people who can give us kind of a community feeling, especially if we're not from the area at the University of Washington. We're coming from out of town. We're trying to build roots where we're at. Another one is to gain inside scoops on grad programs, research projects, or even careers you're interested in, because you've got to make some important decisions. And we want to make sure that they are educated, that you're learning as much as possible. And connections can do that in the short term, where you can talk to someone this weekend and help you really create an understanding of what you're getting into in the future. Another reason why we do short-term connections is it's easier of get time getting connected to more people. So right now that you're at the University of Washington, if you're still a current student, it is the best time to make connections because you have all this opportunity. You're going to classes, you're getting involved, you're doing a lot of things here on campus. And when you get out of campus, it's a little harder to find those kinds of spaces to create connections intentionally. So taking time right now to build connections wherever you are at with the people you are at is super beneficial for short-term opportunities. It also allows, if you notice, finding opportunities. Over a third of the job seekers find listings through professional connections. So people you know will be like, hey, I know you're looking for a job or an internship. Have you applied to this? And having those already built really helps you kind of find those opportunities. Last one is a big one. It's relief that you're not alone in this. You're not alone. Everybody's going through this stress of trying to connect, trying to find opportunities, trying to grow. It's constantly evolving. We are never at this perfect version of ourselves. We're honestly always trying to grow ourselves. And it's wonderful to have a community who also sees that, who grows you as much as you grow them. And that all happens right now in the day-to-day life. Now, in future long-term goals, and it doesn't have to be long-term as in years from now, it can be a few months from now, depending on what your long-term goals are, maybe a year from now. You have the reason why we build connections is to have a trusted, again, the bit word trusted community of people who can support you in the pursuit of your goals, who know you, who know what you're going for, who are checking in on you and making sure that you're getting those levels met. It also is, again, an opportunity opener. In 2020, 73% of participants reporting that they were hired in the past through networking. The people that they know, the connections that they have, were opportunities that they have grown and is in the end fruitful for you. And the last one is, of course, recommendations, references, referrals for opportunities in the long term because people have seen you grow, they know your worth, they've checked in with you, you've made those connections, or you're making those connections and allow future opportunities as well. So these are the short and long term kind of separated into why we even connect in the first place. Now let's talk about creating a connection mission. Now that we just wrapped up the why, what is connections, reframing to building connections, now let's focus in on you. At this point, we do have a handout on our website that you'll see shortly to use to kind of help you brainstorm through your specific needs in connection and creating a connection mission. So let's start really big. What do you need help with? What do you need help with? Really thinking about what that is. Do you need help finding an internship? Are you needing help learning and growth, the leadership growth? Are you needing to learn about a career and how to prepare, enter, or start, or even potentially challenges that people experience in those careers? Are you trying to figure out how to expand your skills and what those look like when they're in the actual job on the field? Do you need advice, recommendations on ways to grow yourself for graduate or to get into graduate school, to get certifications? All of this are kind of what you should be thinking about, like how am I growing myself and what do I need from other people to maybe get some more insight? The goal of this, and I love this term, is to activate it at some point. So once you have an overall idea, game plan, mission, you can activate it when you're having those small or large connection opportunities. For example, for me personally, I was hanging out with some friends, total random, just hanging out, playing games together. And I reached over and I had a moment with one of my friends. We were talking about an opportunity that I really wanted to get into. She looked at me, and this is the first time her and I had a conversation in our professional lives comfortably, which I regret until this moment. I told her about an experience I wanted, and she looked at me and says, I literally do that experience. We're hiring someone. Do you want to work for me? And that opened and changed my life. So, because I knew what I wanted to get into, I opened and had the conversation at a social event, which is a small one, and ended up opening doors for myself I didn't know were open. So, that's why it's important to know what you're trying to get out of your connections, know what you're trying to get out of your professional life. So that way, when you have random conversations or you're out and about, you can start building those opportunities and seeing what opens up for you. So let's dive into you. Let's do a little self-reflection. So the handout on our website has part one of this. So we're going to be discovering my why for connecting. Why do I want to connect? So I'd love for you to fill this out. We have filled it out as an example for Cleo, who's an undeclared major, not sure what she wants to do with her life, but she really wants to reflect on some of these experiences so she can really connect with others to get a better picture of what she's trying to get into. So the first one is, what kind of work excites me, intrigues me, interests me, and am I passionate about? She listed science, human body, how organs work. So she's obviously interested in health field. So that's already a given. Where does she want to work? And this is something we haven't thought about. Is it a city? What environment? Do I want to work outside? Do I like being inside? Do you know these things? She's focused specifically on location, Seattle, Bellevue, Los Angeles. She's not really sure maybe about working inside, outside, in a lab or in a setting. But if you do, make sure you list that there. Skills and knowledge that she wants to gain and strengthen in. She wants to know about entry-level roles in biology. What is a what wet lab skills she'll need, working in healthcare settings. So she's probably contemplating maybe research or healthcare as a future option. And then questions she needs answers to help her make decisions in her future. She has a lot of questions that are really big, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do and where she wants to go. So I recommend pausing the video here and filling out this section for yourself before we continue. As we move on, we're going to go to the second portion of this. Part two is developing a connection mission. Now, a mission statement, if you see the definition in front of you, can help you initiate and sustain meaningful conversations with people who share your vision and interests. So a mission is that big game plan as to what is the focus of why I want to do connections. So using your reflections above, use your reflections above to create a mission unique for you. My mission is to, etc. We're going to give you an example of Chloe's mission. My mission is to create connections with individuals in Seattle's healthcare field, sharing industry trends, degrees, and opportunities. So these are all focusing on what she wants to know. She wants to know about the different trends in the different areas, what degrees and opportunities. And from this mission, she can activate this thought process when she's having contacts and connections to think about, is this person going to help me answer my trends, the degrees and opportunities? What is this person going to help me reflect on and really continue to grow my connections? If it's none of these and you still have a bond with that person, you can still connect personally and not necessarily professionally. So this is all super helpful to help you generate and really think, what do I need from my connections when I start building those intentionally? The next and last portion of this workshop is identifying your connections and going into part three of our handout. So in part three of the handout, you're already considering, who do you already know? Who is in your immediate circle or even in the circle outside of your immediate circle? So if you look at this picture here, we have neighbors, family, friends, all of these people. And then as you get a little bit bigger, who do you interact on a day-to-day basis? Do you have current or past supervisors, teachers, career counselors, coworkers, professors, people here at UW or that you were at UW that already started to build, where you have small connections with them, but they're not maybe as close as friends and family and neighbors, but you do have some kind of bond with them. And think, have they landed a job or internship successfully? Have they worked in an experience you're interested in? Do they share similar goals and interests? Are they connected to industries that you're interested in? And if so, really reflect as to who you already know and how they can already support in that conversation you can have and what you want to learn about them. So in the handout in front of you, start with this column, my people. Who are your people? Who are your people in your group? And then from there, it's also important to recognize, who are your people's people. If you know your people's people, like your parents have a friend or an aunt, your aunt's best friend, there's a whole bunch of like webs of different people you can connect to. And that's the goal, is to really reflect, what is my mission? Do I have in my people that they know? So I encourage you to create this list and to constantly grow. It doesn't have to be on this handout, it can be anywhere. To be thinking about, who do you already have connections with, and asking them, do they have connections? And then adding that to my people's people list. So you can start to see and really envision who can support you now, in the future, etc., and how to build those. The last piece of this puzzle on this document for our part one workshop is, how do you need to expand your connections? What is it? Do I need to expand my connections to people who are already in the industry, people who are just graduating and about to enter the industry, people who just landed a job, resumes and interviews? So from your people and your people's people, what are you lacking that you still need some support on, and how can others help you out? And so this is where we get to now network with people, build connections with people outside of our immediate circles. With this, all of these documents, we're going to be able to move on to the next step, which is actually networking and creating opportunities for yourself. So if you need more support, feel free to connect with a career coach. Go through this document, really talk about how to network. What I do recommend is attending part 2, Turn Conversations into Career Insight, which is the second portion of this. So after you finish your amazing mission statement, you know who your people are and what they connect with. This is the next piece of the puzzle as how can I grow some more outside of my immediate circle? How do I connect with them? How do I do this to have these conversations for career insight? That's part 2. Recommend you check it out, and hopefully we can see you there. The last thing I recommend is to go on our website to check out under our career planning tab, the building relationships networking tab, where you'll find more resources and support, especially some online resources like Husky Landing that can connect you to alumni and professionals. Thank you so much, and go Dogs.